everyone. Welcome to the Horror Room. I'm Travis Bruce, and today we're doing another indie horror spotlight. Today I have with us, he is a writer. So he has a couple projects out right now. The first one is the Elkwood Project, as well as he's also doing double duty. He's writing and acting in Red Light. Also, too, listen, he also is creating. He has an awesome series up right now that's called the Pyramid Initiative. I have with us Ryan Avery. Ryan, welcome to the Horror Realm.
Thank you, Travis. Pleasure to be here. Thank you.
It's a pleasure having you on, man. All right, so let's jump into first the Elkwood Project. Tell us a little bit about that.
So I can't say much. It is very, very fresh, very new. But it is found footage. It's indie filmmakers making a YouTube video back in 2011 when YouTube was kicking off. All the indie horror was, and you had all that PewDiePie, you had, Grave Encounters, all the great found footage horror films coming out. It's this basically found footage film capturing the essence of found footage at its height. Really, four filmmakers go to an abandoned factory, and shit gets real. Shit gets real.
See, I'm a huge Blair Witch Project fan, and I'm also a huge found footage fan. Now, as being the writer, are you working hand in hand with the actual director and the cinematographer to get your written vision on camera?
100%. I think as a writer, you need to be in that creative process like every step of the way, because at the end of the day, you're telling your truth, and you're the only person that can see that. As much as a director, as good as they are, like at the end of the day, what you've put to paper, what you've put to screen is all in here, and the only person that can see that once again is yourself. So I think 100%. I'm always there with the director, with the DOP, and usually the team that I've got are spot on. That the vision, it's like a shared vision. It's really good.
Because I can imagine that would be tough because every director they want to put their own spin onto a screenplay, and usually the screenwriter kind of takes a back seat and allows the director to show their vision. And sometimes that's a good thing, sometimes that's a horrible thing.
100%. No, I agree. I agree. I think it's good to have that kind of someone to give their insight, because you are so immersed in a project that you sometimes overlook things. There may be something which you don't see, which someone comes in and shows you, this side of it when you're looking at this side, so you get the full picture. Which it's so helpful as a creative as well to have that second insight, but then you don't want that second insight to overrule your truth. You've come in with your story that takes precedent.
Now, have you ever had a filmmaker say, "Ryan, what the fuck, man? This is a great story, but like, we have a budget that we're working on. I can't have laser beams shooting out of the sky."
I didn't have a filmmaker. I had a DOP. My first short film was called Liminal, and it's only 5 minutes, and it's to do with liminal spaces, like the backrooms kind of esque. And I had this really cool idea of shooting it all like black and white and having this cool like visual spectacle happen on a budget of like £0. Like I was, I'm out there. And I remember rocking up the set, and we had like 2 days to shoot it, 2 night shoots. And the DOP was like, read the script, love the script, but bro, where the fuck's your mind gone? I was like, he was like, can we get this to work? He was like, yeah, man. He's like, but look, I've got something better in mind. And honestly, I had to, put my ego to rest, and his vision was so cool. It was so much better than what I had originally planned, and it worked within the budgetary constraints.
Yeah, because I can imagine right now. Listen, I have great ideas for a movie, but like if I went to a director, I'm pretty sure like they'd be like, "Dude, I'm not Blumhouse. I'm not Eli Roth. How the fuck am I gonna pull this off?" I'm like, that's true. So I mean, that's something difficult. I can imagine as a writer, you have to work around the confounds of the budget.
100%. That is like the big thing that you. I mean, I've worked with a few who are quite flexible on budget, but usually at the end of the day, you send a script off and they reply back with, this is great, but cut this, this, and this, or change this, this, and this. And it can be disheartening, but as I think Stephen King once wrote, it's better to kill your darlings and actually just cut, because the story needs it.
Yeah. Now, have you ever had a filmmaker that cut, and your story does not even look the same anymore?
I had not into film production, but I remember in a screenplay I wrote a TV show 2 years ago for a company actually in Texas. It was a Western, very different to my horror, as you can see. It was a Western, and I remember him saying, "Have you ever written a Western before?" And as a guy from the UK, I was like, "Yeah, of course I have. Yeah, of course I've written a Western."
Western,
And
yeah,
I remember the first screenplay I sent across to him with my naivety. He just sent an email back, and it was like 2 lines. It was like, I don't think you read the brief properly. This whole thing needs to change. And I was like, oh. So I remember that being like a right punch to the gut and being like, shit, he wants me to change the whole like 60 page. But yeah, it was disheartening.
Yeah, because by the way, he's talking about Western. Did you at that point where you were like, oh shit, let me go run and watch some American Westerns to get a good idea on?
Bro, I watched classics. I watched Tombstone. I watched all this, but you want like a modern day Western. So then when I researched Texas, I researched the flower of Texas. I wanted to incorporate the whole blue bonnet as well, which is Texas's like flower, which is really cool. So I put my head down and did some research for a good week. But yeah, so going back to your question, yes, nothing with the filmmaking stage, but definitely with the pre-production, though, the writing stages, has been a lot of like, you should try this differently, and yeah.
So you're working on a lot of projects right now. How do you come up with the ideas? How do you keep them separated? How do you prioritize? Okay, let's do this one first, and let's put this one towards that.
I kind of go from one of my favorite filmmakers, J.J. Abrams, did an interview, and he said that the ideas that keep you up at night, the ones that keep coming back to you, are the ones you should persist with, the ones that you should follow. And that's the kind of mindset that I adopt. Working on the 3 projects, Red Light, Elkwood, and Pyramid Initiative, Elkwood has always been persistent. Like I've always, when I go to bed, I'm always thinking about it. So I just thought this is something which I need to focus on right now, and this is something I need to push out. I'm a big believer in trusting your gut as well. You know as a creative what is good and what lead to follow. I feel like that's important as well, to trust your gut.
Now, so many I watch. Listen, I watch hours and hours and hours of indie horror, just horror in general. Just because channel. Plus, I'm also a fan, as you can tell from the
Yeah, I love it.
One thing I noticed when it comes to horror, and that is the scripts are definitely off. Like there's no character development. You kind of don't care about the characters. And even though I like the Terrifier movies, but I feel like so many filmmakers are modeling Terrifier, where it's all, villain, blood, shock, gore, but like there's no character development. There's no script. This is what it is. And that's fun every once in a while, but that is not going to get the average viewer's attention.
100%. I'm with you. I have a weird love-hate with the Terrifier films. Like, I don't want to speak too much, but I appreciate them for what they are. They are pushing the media, they're pushing the art, and they're pushing what we can, like what we think is taboo, right? They're pushing that. And Terrifier 3, I think, did it really, that pushed the bar out, Excited for Terrifier 4 to see what they do there. But I agree with the fact that these aren't going to win awards. You don't watch these movies, and we go into Terrifier knowing what's going to happen to these poor characters. It's going to be a bloodbath. Saying that, I will defend horror and say I've watched countless indie films and just, I've got Shudder. I love Shudder, the subscription service in Shudder. It's great
Great.
for it. But like, there are times where you get the few rare gems pop up, and it's just a different viewing experience. Once a script is good and you can engage with those characters and you're immersed, and that's what I think horror does, which not many TV genres do, is you can actually be immersed in these worlds, in these universes.
Yeah, because one thing I love about horror, I also love and hate. I love when I see a character in a movie, and I'm like, boy, I like that character, and I care about that character's well-being. And then when they fucking die, I'm like, no, no, I'm cheering for that character, but when they die, I have that feeling.
Yeah.
Or there's a character that I can't stand, and I'm like, I hope that character gets it. And it's so fulfilling.
Yes.
When they do actually get it. But the worst thing is when you don't feel nothing. When characters in a movie die and you don't feel nothing either way, you're just like, ugh, that's horrible how they died. But there's nothing else there. And I feel like that's not fun. There has to be some stakes in horror in order to make me enjoy horror at 42 years old now.
No, 100%. I agree. I am with you. I think the best horror are the ones that make you care about the characters, right? I mean, I love Scream is my favorite horror film of all time, if you want to call it that. I mean, just because the original, you care about those characters so much. Sidney, Billy, Stu, Tatum, everyone. You care about these characters, and it's such a satire on, slasher and horror, so meta. But because of that, when you watch it, you go, I don't want these characters to die. I think you're invested with them. And going back to found footage, I feel like because found footage is, the next level of immersion, you are the camera, you are the character. I feel like found footage done right is when you feel like you're with these characters on a journey. Have you seen Lake Mungo?
Yes.
That film is top tier for me. The whole
Great.
Like every character in that movie, you go, I want to know what happens next. What's going on? I need to know. I thought that is a perfect example of horror done right.
Speaking in the UK, like the Mansfield movies, found footage movies are done. I don't know if you've seen them. They're absolutely amazing. But that's where you really get into these characters' minds, and then like you're saying, you're following them.
Yeah.
So it's almost like I used to be big into video games. It's like the third person shooter.
Yeah.
You're following that person through this movie,
Yes.
and you're going to experience everything what it's done. So when it comes to found footage, when it's done right, it's great. But there's no middle with found footage. It's either done excellent or bad.
Yes. Yeah.
There's no middle.
I feel like that's just horror though. That's the horror genre, right? It's either done amazing or it's shit. And you know, like as a viewer, and yourself definitely, you can tell within the first 10 minutes of this film's gonna be shit, or okay, this is actually I'm engaged, I'm hooked. And bro, we've seen some shit horror films, so when you kind of turn it on, you go, oh, okay, this is 90 minutes of just shit, but I want to see where it goes.
Now, as a writer, have you ever wrote a shit movie? I mean, just on purpose. Like, this is a shit horror movie. This is a Terrifier. This is just something that's brain dead, and it's just going to give the audience over the top gore. And
bro, I can't do it. I tried. I tried to do it, and I remember reading it back, and I think I deleted 45 pages worth of script. I was like, I can't do it to anyone. I can't do it to myself. You sit there and you go, these characters are 2D. Like the plot makes no sense. You got lines like, oh, this happened. Why? Oh, because it did. And you're like, that makes, somehow Palpatine returned. And it's just like, oh, well, what we're doing. You know what I mean? Like this makes no sense. No, I can't do that to myself.
I call that like cash grab. We start getting that cash grab mentality. You're like, fuck it.
Yeah.
I know this is going to draw people's eyes because of the overtop gore, but I don't know. Like I can't. I mean, even a YouTube creator, I could sit up here and really right now and post some shitty stuff up that I know would get views. I know it would get views. But but like as a creator, it's my integrity. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna sit here and do this. It may not get no reviews, but at least I feel proud about what I did.
Exactly, bro. Yeah, exactly. You want to make something that's gonna, either not something that people may not necessarily understand now, but maybe later down the line they look back and go, "Wow, that was actually really cool."
Hmm.
Like The Thing, right? My favorite film of all time. Where is it? The
Love the
Thing.
thing.
That when it came out, it was hated. No
Yeah,
one liked it. They were like, "Oh, we don't get it." Blah. But now it's one of John Carpenter's best movies ever. It's just such a good, perfectly made film for horror, for the paranoia, the psychological horror, the fear of being isolated. Yeah, so good.
and it took decades for people to realize that. And
Exactly.
also with Halloween 3 on Season of the
Mm.
Witch,
Season of the
I
Witch,
hated
yes.
that. I hated that movie, but looking back at it, it's one of the best Halloween movies by
Yeah.
far.
No, agreed, 100%.
All right, so you have another project, Red Light. Tell us a little bit about that one.
Okay, so Red Light is filmed. It's currently in post-production hell, as most films are.
Oh,
We filmed it last year. There's a lot of post-production things happening, but it's coming out this year. So it follows three thieves as they kind of break into a house to steal government documents, but there is another entity within the house, should we say. Um, Comes from my love of H.P. Lovecraft, the cosmic horror, the unknown, the unsettling fear, the dread of what's around every corner, and it just comes from my love of classic haunted house horror. Really, it was a joy to make. It was a great experience, and I would do it all over again. It was great.
and that sounds like a movie right up my alley. I love it's a thing that has been done often. I like the breaking into someone's house and
Mm,
then like you're going to do something bad, but there's something even worse behind those doors. There was a movie called The Collector, I believe it's called,
I
and
love
I
the collect.
love The
Yes,
Collector. I love that, and like same kind of concept, but I love that idea where you got people in here doing something bad, and they can't necessarily call the cops because what the fuck are you doing here?
exactly, 100%. And these characters aren't, our protagonists. They're not good people. I think
Mhm.
they're thieves. They're morally bad people. Our lead character, Hemingway, is played by the brilliant Peter Oduala, who does a fantastic job. He is the good one out of the three bad. He's like the lesser evil. So you're kind of fixated, or you're kind of rooting for the villains, but in a weird way, because the threat is much worse. You know, which I think is a good mindset to kind of adopt. And you kind of go, should I be rooting for these guys? But I
Yeah,
am.
and and this one, I mean, jumping from found footage to a non-found footage,
Yeah.
that's a lot. I mean, because most horror creators they stick to one because horror has so many different subgenres in it. It's
Yeah.
just not horror. And most horror creators stick with one subgenre. So to going from something like the Elkwood
Mm.
project to the Red Light, brain wise, because I love to get into creators' brains.
Mm.
Is there a different switch that goes off?
So that's a great question. Is it a different switch? Not really, because I think for me, my niche, as I would say, as a horror writer, is character, and it's always been character. I think character is so important to every story, especially like I said, especially horror stories. Um, and the common thread between Red Light and Elkwood, even though it being two completely different horror movies, are the characters. We have these characters who you're instantly attached to. You want to know why they're doing what they're doing. You want to know their backstories. You want to know the dynamics that they have between person A and person B. And I feel like that's the staple that kind of is my niche. What I write is, you know, people say when I send my scripts to people to read, they're like oh god, I love these characters. I'm like, well, get to page 10 and you may not, but like, you know, like it's just that kind of these aren't two-dimensional. They're three-dimensional beings, and I feel like that's what a lot of horror creators need to understand is your audience isn't just here for schlock, gore, and you know, shock, whatever. They're here because they want a compelling story with people they care about.
Yeah.
I feel like that's what I bring as a writer to each of my movies, be it found footage or not. You're gonna watch a movie with characters that you're gonna either like or hate, and that's kind of the mainstay.
That's a question I've never asked anyone, but like I interview a lot of indie horror writers. I mean, filmmakers, and a lot of them they are the writers, they are the producer, they are the director. Do you think it's good to have those specific areas kind of split up? Because like the way you do it, you're the writer, and then you have someone who's a filmmaker, and you
Mm.
two collaborate and you bounce off ideas. If you're writing and directing, you kind of don't have that collaboration. You don't have someone
Mm.
to say, "Hey, that doesn't sound right," or "That doesn't look good."
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm going to be a massive hypocrite with answering this question because for Red Light, I got a good friend of mine, Scott Highmore, who is a fantastic. He's a DJ, he's a director, he's a jack of all trades. He's a great guy, amazing guy. And I got him to direct Red Light because that was going to be me originally. I said, no. If I'm acting in it and I've written it, I can't do all. That's ridiculous. It's going to be like a ego fest, and I was like,
Yeah,
can't have
vanity for the project. Yeah,
yeah, right. Like, and I was like, look, Scott, I trust you. I trust that we've worked together on Liminal. We have the same vision. Do you want to direct Red Light? And he was like, yeah, 100%. So he was on board, and it was great for him because once, like I said earlier, he kind of approached it from a different angle. He was like, let's trim off all the fat from the script. Let's just focus on what we need to focus on, and it kind of helped me out because I feel like as a creative, as a writer, you can definitely get carried away with your universe and your characters to the point where it is a bit like, okay, what we're getting here. We're just living, it's a bit what's the word, like egotistical in a way, because you're just,
yeah,
so having someone come in and be honest with you and be like, look, trim this out, get straight to the point, make sure it hits all the beats, and it made it so much better. And also, let's not forget, this industry is a collaborative industry. You can't, as much as people say they can, and when you get people, oh, I made this whole film by myself. Great for you, bro, but come on, like, have other people come in and help out, lend a hand. This is cooperation. This is what we're meant to do, and I feel like that's forgotten nowadays in this whole thing of I want to be number one. Like, why not? Why don't we all be number one together? It's meant to be
yeah.
collaborative. You could bring an insight to which I don't know, and vice versa. And I feel like that's what we should do. So to answer your question, I think it's better to get someone on board. Yeah, 100%. Get everyone involved. It's about fun and about doing that.
So, do you think a lot of filmmakers don't do that way is because it's an ego thing? They want to say, "Hey, this was my idea. This is what I directed it. I did this. I did that." So, it's to me, it kind of seems like I want a pat on the back.
Yeah, I think it's not maybe the ego thing, but I think it's more of they're afraid that no one else will see their vision, and that they think that they're the only ones that can do it justice, which I get 100%. But also, like, you're not the only one that can see it that way. Other people can probably see it that way too. So yeah, you know.
Now you're jumping from writer to also a creator. You're directing, producing, and writing the Pyramid Initiative. Tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, well, this is my big thing. This is my love letter to, I guess, analog horror. Like Skinamarink, kind of the Mandela Catalog, all of those, the Monument Mythos by Alex Kister, but like the whole that kind of YouTube online zeitgeist that spawned, years back. This is my love letter to that. It is a it follows investigative journalist Elliot Walker, who I too play, as he basically investigates an anomaly in a house anomaly. The first episode of the Peer Initiative is called The House Anomaly, and he goes into a house, and this house seems to be trapped in time, and it's trapped in the 50s, and it's this weird kind of, I'm going to say it, mindfuck of a of a volume series where you travel through different time zones, through the use of stock footage, which I've edited together to make a storyline from it about this alien visitor which crash lands, visits Earth, and basically with it spawns all these otherworldly entities that kind of exist now in this town called Fulwick. So yeah, that's kind of what it's about. There is a volume 2 on the way, but I just need to get time to create it, pretty much.
Now, is it tough to break it down a project into series? Hey, this is where I'm going to stop off at, and this is where I'm going to begin.
Oh, 100%, man. The Pyramid Initiative, I stopped so many times, and like I said earlier, I was like, okay, I'm done with it. I think it's a cool ending. It makes sense. It's a cool ending, and then I would go to bed, and I'll be up till 3 a.m. because I've got this idea. Oh, actually, but if you do this, it's really cool because this could lead to that. And you go, oh, okay, now I've got to make episode 7 out of nowhere now, which is going to lead to this. And it's just, so yeah, in a way, if the idea persists, there's never really a stopping point as a creative. You're always kind of on the go. It's creation. It's what you do. We make.
Awesome. Now listen, now the Pyramid Initiative, that's on YouTube?
Mm-hmm. Yes, it is.
Okay, where can everyone find it on YouTube?
So you can find it at the Pyramid Initiative, which is the channel name. And you want to scroll to volume 1. It's about 30 minutes, but it's a trip. It's a wild ride. I'll give you that. It's good. Good watch.
And I'm going to have the link down in the description. So please click on it, subscribe, like, share that bad boy around too. And look up our volume too. Now, Ryan, where can everyone find you and the rest of your work?
Instagram. If you have an Instagram, please follow me. My social is Avery Nayr. So it's AveryNayr, which is my first name backwards. And that's where I post everything to do with just myself, my projects, and everything important and interesting happening in my life. It's all there. So yeah.
Love it. Listen, everybody, follow this man on Instagram. Look out for Elkwood, the Elkwood Project, as well as Red Light. And like I said, get over YouTube and check out the Pyramid Initiative. Ryan, it's been a blast having you on, man.
Thank you, Travis. It's been a pleasure. Thank you, buddy.
And I love the setup, man, behind you. I love the setup. It looks great, man. It looks great.
Thanks, bud.
All right, everyone. Well, thank you for coming to another edition of the Horror Realm. I was about to say the Pyramid Initiative. I was like, that's not my channel. That's his channel. But I'm Travis Bruce. That's my man, Ryan Avery. We'll see you next time. Take care.